I'm Dan and welcome to Polar Currency Rare Notes Spotlight number 6. This video series is possible because I had the incredible opportunity to view and document a number of high-end and rare banknotes. Even though I'll never be able to afford these notes, I believe it's important to show historic, rare, scarce, and high-value banknotes. They're part of our currency collecting community and attract attention from collectors and non-collectors alike. This rare note is arguably the rarest U.S. small-size banknote. The $5,000 Federal Reserve Note, or FRN for short, according to the Whitman Encyclopedia of U.S. Paper Money, is, quote, very elusive today, even scarcer than the higher denomination $10,000 bills, end quote. The Series 1934 had a print run of 51,480 from 11 of the 12 Federal Reserve districts. Minneapolis did not issue. The Series 1928 $5,000 FRN is even more rare, with only 18,244 printed for 9 of the 12 districts. Notes weren't issued from Philadelphia, St. Louis, and again Minneapolis. No star notes were issued for either the Series 1928 or 1934. The Series 1928 and 1934 are really two different types of FRNs. The Series 1928 was backed by the U.S. Treasury with 40% gold and other securities, while the 1934 is just a straight-up fiat currency. The Series 1928 FRNs have the financial obligation that reads, redeemable in gold on demand at the United States Treasury or in gold or lawful money at any Federal Reserve Bank, whereas the Series 1934 has the statement, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank. The change was needed because of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's April 1933 Executive Order 6102, which read, quote, prohibited the hoarding of gold coin, gold bullion, and gold certificates within the continental United States. Basically, it made it illegal to own gold. The rationale behind the order was to remove the constraint on the Federal Reserve to increase the money supply during the Great Depression. By the early 1930s, the Federal Reserve came close to reaching the limit of allowable credit in the form of Federal Reserve demand notes, which were backed by the gold, thereby necessitating the financial obligation to change from the 1928 to the 1934 FRN. Well, this is the Series 1934 $5,000 Federal Reserve Note, Friedberg number 2221-H. The only one I've ever seen, let alone held. It was most likely printed between 1935 and 1937 because of the light green seal. In 1937, the conversion began taking place to the darker green seal, so the Series 1934 has the two different colors, although most of them are the light green seals. Well, maybe there's 3 if you count the dark green blue seal. If you want to know more information about that, check out my video, The Color of Money, that talks about all the different seal colors used from 1862 to today. This note was issued by the St. Louis Federal Reserve District number 8, or letter H. The service region includes Arkansas and parts of Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois. The 1934 does not rank in the Bowers and Sunman book 100 Greatest American Currency Notes, but the Series 1928 FRN does come in at number 92. Treasury records indicate just 2,400 Series 1934 $5,000 FRNs were printed from the St. Louis district, which was the second lowest for all of the districts. The lowest was Cleveland. Records indicate that there are approximately 15 known today from the St. Louis district. The census for all known 5,000 FRNs is roughly 210, accounting for both the 1928 and 1934 series. PMG has graded 137 $5,000 FRNs, 7 of them being the Series 1928, and 11 from the St. Louis Federal Reserve. PCGS Banknote has graded a total of 11 as of February 2026, with no information provided as to individual districts. So what happened to $5,000 notes, or for that matter, all high-denomination Federal Reserve notes? Well, historically, high-denomination notes were primarily used for large monetary transfers between the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve, along with private interbank transactions settling accounts between financial institutions. The notes also facilitated large financial transactions such as real estate purchases. Following World War II, the banking system became modernized with secure wire transfer technology. Paying large dollar amounts with physical cash was not as safe or efficient. The high denomination notes really just were no longer needed. The last printing of the high denomination FRNs was in December of 1945. Beginning in July 1969, the U.S. Treasury Department, along with the Federal Reserve, began removing them from circulation and destroying any large bills returned by banks. The official Treasury Department reason was lack of use, but that's not the entire story. This was a move to combat organized crime. High denomination currency was certainly used for illicit enterprises, money laundering, tax evasion, because it allowed for vast sums of undeclared wealth to be moved discreetly. The value is the real question. The $5,000 1934 FRN has been sold 111 times at heritage auctions dating back to September 21, 2001, not taking into account notes that have sold multiple times. As of May 2026, the most recent note sold in October 2025 for $204,000. It was a graded PMG 63. Notes sold since 2021 have graded fairly high, with the lowest grade being sold in September 2024. That was a PMG 25 for $120,000. And by the way, it sold before that in 2021 for $93,000. Stax Bowers has sold 33 $5,000 1934 FRNs dating back to 2014. The most recent sale occurred in April of 2024 for a $144,000 graded PMG 35. The $5,000 FRN bears the portrait of 4th President of the United States, James Madison. The engraving is taken from the 1804 portrait by Gilbert Stuart. Madison is the only person to be on the $5,000 denomination and made his first appearance on the 1870 $5,000 gold certificate. The new design replaced the original 1863 series that had an eagle as the main vignette on the left. All gold certificate designs were updated in 1882 along with the 5,000. Madison was also on the very little known series 1878 legal tender note, the only $5,000 legal tender. In my opinion, it has one of the greatest currency backs ever designed. And that's something the BEP should think about bringing back. No, I'm not going to say it. Madison later appeared on the last large-size $5,000 bill with the series of 1918, along with the small-size 1928 and 1934 FRNs. It was an incredible opportunity to see and hold this note. The $5,000 FRN is certainly one of the rarest denominations of all small-size currency that actually circulated. Well, kind of. That's all I have for Rare Note Spotlight number 6. As always, I appreciate your time, and if you like what you see, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment. We'll see you next time, and thanks for checking in.